Hi guys. I just wanted to say that it's been a long time since I started going to school, and even a longer time since I knew I wanted to become a nurse. Because when I first wanted to start going to become a nurse, it was in 2008 with the labor and delivery nurses. Everything was amazing. Everything, I couldn't ask for better nurses. And my first labor and delivery, I was a first time mother. I only had my husband at my bedside. Um, we didn't know anything. And not only were we first time parents, but we were having twins for the first time. We never had an experience of what it was to have a kid previously. So everything was so new to us, and the nurses had so much patience. They taught us everything from breastfeeding to changing diapers to cleaning them and everything not what not to do. I decided to focus to take care of them and wait until they were in kindergarten to go to school myself. So I was working part-time during taking my job too serious because again I was just mainly trying to raise my daughters. So in 2013 is when I signed up for school to go to the local community college. I knew I didn't want to go to a big university because I didn't know if I was going to be committed to it, and I didn't want to take loans or anything like that. And in one of my jobs, one of my coworkers told me that if he could redo everything, that he will go to a community college, not only because it's less expensive, but because student ratio. When I was at the community college, there was 28 students to one teacher, and I feel that I learned better during an intimate setting. So in 2013, I think I was going to start either the summer semester or the January, beginning in January, but I remembered I didn't know how to sign up for classes. I thought that once you sign up for college, they did this new orientation and taught you how to pick up, sign up for classes. That was not the case with my community college. I know that if I could have reached to somebody, say like, "Hey, I'm not sure how to do this. Who can I talk to?" They would have guided me. But I'm the person who doesn't know how to ask for help, and so I had to figure it out myself. So in the fall semester of 2013 is when I signed up for my class. I think my first class was English and math. I had to do remediation math. So I had no problem with that. Um, and then, so funny story now that I think about it, me and my daughters started kindergarten or school when the same year, and they had just now graduated middle school when I graduated with my bachelor's. So they go to high school next year, and they're so excited, and we're so excited for them as well. Same thing with school. I was doing it part-time, but the thing with school is that I never took a break. Once I started going to school in the fall of 2013, I signed up for the winter class for like classes that didn't really matter for my nursing degree, that just needed that there were prereqs. One of them was like government, I think, and it was a 3-week class. You went Monday through Friday, and the teachers were more lenient that way because you didn't have as much testing, probably once a week, because it was so fast paced. And I also signed up for my psychology classes during the summer, so it was a 5-week summer 1 and summer 2, and even though I was part-time, I still managed to graduate within 5 semesters, and I was very impressed at myself because I kept going back and forth of taking a break during the summer and the winter and being present with my kids for Christmas, but at the same time I didn't feel that I was taken away from them because I wasn't studying back then. I pretty much passed my 2-year prereq without studying. I've also been the person who has been able to have good grades without studying. Maybe because I was younger back then, but that was not the case with nursing school. Let me tell you. So during I got pregnant in 2014 because Olivia was born in 2015. So yes, I got pregnant the second half, or like towards the end of it. For microbiology, don't ask me anything because I was pregnant, and pregnancy brain is a real thing. So Olivia was born in December. My teacher was like, you don't have to come to these classes. You can just take the test. I'll email it to you, because I was like 40 weeks pregnant. And she's like, I can't believe you're still showing up. That was an evening class that she was teaching for history too. And I signed up for it during the summer session, but that was like in the second trimester, and I've always had like morning sickness throughout my whole pregnancies. So I decided to take it for the fall. And right, I remember the last day for my class was on the 18th, and Olivia was born on the 23rd. So we had to pull her out because she didn't want to be born. She wanted to stay with me and go to class and learn. Everybody was always teasing me that either she was going to be very smart, or that I was paying for 2 educations with 1 tuition. So everybody was very lighthearted with me being pregnant. I thought, so let me tell you this one thing too. Like, college, people are doing their own thing. They're trying to get out of their own way to go, that they don't have time to judge you. I thought that I was going to be too old to go back to nursing school in my 30s. I thought that I had too many kids to be successful. I have 5 daughters, and to be successful in nursing school. And let me tell you that you determine what you're able to do. I've had not comments, but like, I was a person who wasn't supposed to graduate in nursing school. I was a student who wasn't supposed to be passing her test. The first time for my license, when I got my results for my last final exam from Chamberlain, I was reading the sheet. So at the top of the sheet, it gives you your score, which you have to have a 74% or higher to pass. And I scored with the 77. Mind you, this is my average. And the first thing this lady said is, how do you feel about your grade? And in my mind, I'm like, well, I passed. And I'm like, well, I feel great. You know, I didn't really know what she was expecting me to say, because again, I had never like really interacted with this person beforehand. So she's like, well, I don't understand why you're so happy about it. You could have done better if you had just made the time to follow up with me. And good luck with your licensing exam. And I was like dumbfounded that she had told me this. And when I walked my graduation, a lot of teachers were like, oh, like we're like surprised, because before we walked the stage and did our ceremony, we did a practice run, and a lot of them were like taken back that I had passed, but it's okay. Only one of them was very legit excited for us, and I am thankful for her, because she was one of the nurses, or one of the teachers that you see during the first year, and she would always check up on us and things. So that was very sweet of her, for always to be checking up on us. So Olivia was born in December. I graduated. I had one more class, which was philosophy, and I left it at the last class on purpose, because I'm like, this is not going to be so intensive, and I can do this while taking care of Olivia. Little did I know that I was going to be very, very hormonal from the pregnancy. I'm not sure if I didn't feel it with the first pregnancy. They gave me twins because I either was busy taking care of twins and taking care of colic ×2, and just learning everything that I didn't learn how to read my body in a way. Or maybe it was unique to every pregnancy, but I felt it with Olivia. Like, I was taking an art class as well that I had to drop because of the same thing. I've always been a morning person. And it's not that I was sleep deprived. It was I would go to the restroom and cry because I was so insecure about myself, about being able to finish. Even though I had one more class left, I just felt very insecure, and for some reason, I just you couldn't tell me anything because I was crying. So Olivia was 5 months when I graduated from college, from that community college, in 2015. So I graduated in May, and then in August we bought our house. This house that we live in, we bought it that same year. We were not expecting to buy a house. We were expecting to move into the area that I live, but renting a house. But it was either rent a house and just keep paying for rent, or buying a house and having something that's for our kids. Either answer is not the right or wrong answer, but the support that we had for our family buying the house was the best purchase for me and my husband. Mind you, it's just mainly been my husband and I, while taking care of the kids, me going to school, him going to work. We don't really have family support, so that's why I've always felt inadequate. I've always felt that maybe I'm being too selfish because I can dedicate this time for my kids. Mind you, back in it, when I first had my daughters, I was like a cook. I would cook everything. I was stuck on Food Network channel. I will make bread from scratch, snacks from scratch, food from scratch, everything from scratch. And now I don't do that at all. It's semi homemade, and I'm very unapologetic because I get to be with my kids. Like, yes, can I cook from scratch? I can, but I also don't want to spend that time cleaning and that time buying the ingredients and doing this and having everything perfect, when I could just buy a box of brownies and make them, and we can all enjoy them while watching TV or watching a movie. So it's just a balance. So going with my story about the house, I also waited that year back to my mentality of like, I need to be a better mom for my kids. I waited for them to assimilate to their school and their new environment. Like I said, we lived in the city, and to where we moved, we had never been. We don't have any friends or any families back then, so it was a new adjustment for everybody. Moving on to 2017 is when I started applying for other nursing programs. Is when I actually started applying for nursing programs. I was asked I was pretty much waitlisted, but I had to write an essay as to why that last semester I had a C when in my first 2 years I had all A's, and I didn't want to dignify. I'm like, what? My GPA is high enough. Like, I don't understand why they need to know about this one C when I've been having A's this whole time. And I felt that they were focusing on the negative, but the essay was less than 1 page. Honestly, double space. I was just being lazy. I hate writing essays. When I tell you that I hate writing essays, I hate it. And so I felt that was going to take at least 1 week for me to figure out what to put in a 1-page sheet of paper, which is probably not even 500 words, 300 to 500 max. And the only thing that I needed to put on that paper was that I was hormonal and that I was no longer in that space, and that I was managing of having a newborn at the house, but that now that newborn is a toddler, and that I've managed to learn how to live with the toddler. But I didn't do it. I didn't write the essay, so obviously I was still on the waiting list, and I didn't check back. But during that year, I found out that I was pregnant again. I wanted Olivia, that's my single child, my education child, to have the sibling, because I had my twins and I love how they take care of each other and they're always together. So I wanted that for Olivia. I wanted Olivia to have somebody to get on the bus with. I didn't want her to see her by herself during elementary school, because as it is now, Olivia's in kindergarten, and she's going to first grade, and like I mentioned before, my twins are going to high school next year, so I didn't want that for Olivia. And so my husband and I decided to get pregnant again and have a mate for Olivia. Little did we know, we got pregnant with twins again, and it was a roller coaster of emotional hormones and having to take care of a toddler on top of that. I think Olivia was 18 months when I was pregnant, or like I gave birth. They're like very close in age. So you know how they say they have Irish twins? I had Irish triplets, because I had 3 kids under 2 when they were born. And Olivia regressed. So anybody who doesn't know what regression means is that whatever stage she was at, she kind of fell back, because it's natural for kids to do that. So it was like I had a little 1-year-old instead of like a 2-year-old. So going forward to my nursing journey in 2018, I applied and I got rejected. I was not expecting to get rejected, because the first time I was waitlisted and I was ready to write my essay. I kind of like didn't submit the essay, but I did start it. So I applied again the same year, if not the next year, and I got rejected again. And so I applied a third time to the same school, and I got rejected again. I didn't understand why I kept getting rejected if my GPA was high, if I was willing to write an essay. And so I decided to just slow down, start working. And then I also went to a CNA program that was 6 weeks, and I'm like, I'm gonna get this degree either way. Either if I work my way through it, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm not gonna be stopped. So I paid for a 6-week CNA program, and those are certified nursing aides, where they bathe. It's basically you help bathe, walk, turn, change, feed, brush your teeth, anything that has to do with like daily activity things that you need to do as a human to survive and be hygienic. That's what they pretty much do. And so in that class, my teacher had just been a recent grad from Chamberlain. I probably heard of them, but I didn't notice Chamberlain until that teacher told me, like, yeah, you should just I just graduated like a year ago. Now I'm teaching. And I was like really inspired by her story, because I don't know, she's just one of those teachers, or one of those people that they're not gate holders. They're not like, you ask them something like, well, I can't tell you. You know, she was very encouraging. She told me, yeah, go for it. And I'm like, even though I have all my kids, she's like, yeah, why not? Like, you can do it. And and she told me that if it's anybody in this classroom, and you can do it definitely, because I was always, even though I had an evening job, we had to be at the school at 7 in the morning. We had our badge in, we had a badge in. So I guess she would keep up with every time I was there, and stuff like that. I never missed class. I never made an excuse. I was always ready for my test. So basically, during those 6 weeks, I would wake up, go to school. I had to be in class by 8, in my full uniform. I had to be ready, because that was part of the curriculum, is be in uniform, take your school bag, take your supplies. And I was ready for my test. I was always ready for that. I would end school around 2 and then go to work. I'll wait. Either Alfonso will be waiting for me at my job site, or I will wait for him. But my boss was very understanding, so thank you for that. And we will basically either switch cars or just switch the babies from my car seats in my car to Alfonso's car seats in his car. And I will work until midnight. go get home and do my homework from 1 to 2, and wake up and do it again. Only sleep for like 4 hours. Eating the minimal because I didn't have time to eat. I finished the CNA program, but when I went to go take my licensing, I failed. I was surprised because I'm like, I passed the program. The reason that I failed is because I wasn't making time to go practice. My teacher will always tell me to go practice. I can come in the afternoon and practice, because my school was like it had beds. It's like a simulation of the hospital, or like where you work. We were mainly training to work like at retirement centers or rehab centers, so it was supposed to simulate that environment, and I never had time to actually go and practice my skills. So it was no surprise that I had failed being an aide for nursing. So moving on to while I was going to that school for the CNA, Chamberlain was literally at a walking distance. So during school, we would have a break for like 30 minutes. It was a lunch break. I can't remember if it was 30 minutes or an hour. So during that break, I went once and I walked and I applied. And then I would go once a week and see the status of my application. And so I get it accepted in, I think, September of 2019. I was supposed to start in November for sure, November 2019. But I felt like it was too rushed. I knew that I was applying for nursing school. I just wasn't expecting to be approved for it because of the same thing. I had to write an essay of why I wanted to become a nurse. And in reality, the reason that I do want to become a nurse and I stuck to it is because I feel that in my community, the Hispanic community, when I go to the doctors, I don't know what they're telling me. Either when I was pregnant, or when I took them to the pediatrician, I didn't know what they were telling me. I had no basic foundation of understanding if they were good, or when they were sick, why they were sick. They were just telling me they have bronchitis and this is the medicine. Like I don't know if they felt that they were wasting their time on explaining this on me. Mainly it was a doctor, a male Hispanic doctor, I was surprised because this was before we purchased our home. I'm not sure if he didn't want to take the time. Maybe I didn't ask questions because I didn't know what to ask. And that's why, because I feel that seeing a Hispanic person in the hospital system is going to make them more likely to ask questions. Because again, all the nurses that took care of me were Hispanic. Even the person who was there to clean the room, they're called environmentalists, was Hispanic. And she told me, like, échale ganas, mijita. Like, you're so young. Don't get discouraged. Whatever you want to do, you can do it in life. And that's why I wanted to see myself at a hospital. It doesn't matter what unit. I just wanted to be. In going through nursing school, I also learned that the majority of nurses are white nurses, followed by Indian nurses, Asian nurses, and that only 8% of the nurses are Hispanic. And so I wanted to join the statistics of growing that 8% to a higher number. That's why I started my Instagram channel, to be encouraging to other people that think that they don't. I always thought, like, I have nobody that's in the healthcare. I don't have network. I don't have anybody who can guide me. And I feel that just me telling them, like, you belong wherever it is you think you belong, it's just enough for them to be impulsive. Because if you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw that I started to doubt myself, and I would repost a lot of reels about motivation and encouragement, over and over and over again because I felt that I was ready to give up. I felt that my value wasn't being appreciated. I felt that I was always going to be the last one to be picked because, again, I wasn't supposed to graduate. I wasn't supposed to be licensed. And yet here I am. And I just want you to know that it doesn't have to be education. It can be a career change. It could be writing a blog. It can be starting a YouTube channel. It could be having more kids. It can be anything. Not being married. Anything that you think that tugs, anything that tugs at your heart should be pursued by you. Because I'm a very A-type person. I have to do my checklist every morning, my planner. But all that is good and fine. But at the same time, if you don't have passion, then there's no reason of doing the checkbox because you'll be unfulfilled. You'll be unfulfilled, and that's the fastest way for you to burn out. But I just wanted to share my nursing story, my journey of rejection and not giving up. Really, it took me 9 years from when I first started in August of 2013 until my last test, which was in May of 2022. 2022. So it doesn't matter if you've been less time, more time. It doesn't matter. Like I said, we are too egocentric to be worried about what you're lacking or you feel like you're lacking. Nobody cared that I was 30. Like, none of my classmates, actually, is what I'm referring to. None of my classmates cared that I was in my 30s and they were in their 20s. None of my classmates cared that I have 5 kids and they didn't. We all showed up for each other. We all were a support system. We had a lot of essays, a lot of group assignments, and we were not able to always be 100% there for all of them. And so I know it's hard to find your tribe, and whatever it is you're doing, whatever it is you want to pursue, but just find your people that support you. And if they go quiet, don't ignore it. Just be like, hey, I know you're busy right now. Just know that I'm thinking about you and I'm checking on you. Text me whenever you get a chance. And sometimes that later might be in 24 hours, a week later, 2 weeks later. But it's nice to know that people are checking on you. It's nice to know that people are encouraging you and expecting you to make it. That's just it. Okay, sorry. I know it's like a whole different day, a whole different outfit, but I just wanted to finish the video. So my final thoughts about my nursing school program. My final thoughts about my journey to nursing school is that, or just anything in general, just pursue your happiness, because at the end of the day, you have to live with yourself. You have to live with your choices. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. At the beginning of me going to college, I didn't get a lot of support, but I guess once people saw that I was consistent, they started to support me. I've always told my husband that I've always wanted to start a YouTube channel or an Instagram channel, because I know what it is not to have somebody to cheer you on. I know what it is that I have so much potential, but I don't see it in myself. There was, like, I'm not kidding you, like every time we would start a new class, I would text one of my classmates, I don't think I'm ready for the next class. I don't think I'm good enough for the next class, because I would always be like, I have to work, I have my 5 kids, I have my household, and on top of that I have my school workload. And I will always tell them, I'm just gonna take a break. I'm just gonna take a break. And they will always tell me like, no, you're so smart. You got this. I believe in you. And sometimes just people going through it with you, they know what you're doing, because even though I was in nursing school, I wouldn't vent to my husband. I would only vent to my nursing school friends, because my husband doesn't know what it is to be in nursing school. And that's why I would find it not very beneficial to vent to him. But in my head, we all got approved and accepted to nursing school. We all made it. Like, we're not each other's competition anymore. The way that I saw it was that I wanted all of us to win. If I could win, so can everybody else around me. And I've always been that type of person that you ask me for anything and I'm like, yes, I got it from here, or yes, this is how I did it. And this is like, or if I didn't do it and somebody else helped me, I'll point you to that person, company, or whatever it is that I need you to guide you for you to be successful. And I've never really vibe with those people that are gatekeepers, because for what? You're not making anything for your future better, and you're not taking anything away, because if it's something that that person wants to pursue, they're gonna find it another way. I think that's why I would be a good nurse, because again, anytime somebody would ask me something, I'm gonna tell you. That's why. But yeah, let me know if you want me to go more into depth into how Chamberlain was in particular, or any part of my nursing journey. It's been a long 9 years, but I finally made it. I never doubted that I wouldn't make it. I'm not thinking of pursuing further, because I can be like an NP and things like that, but I don't think so. I think I'm okay with my bachelor's. I just want to get to like the first 2 or 3 years and then take it from there. But yeah, thank you for listening to me babble, and have a great day.